Hey there, are you ready to build a fitness business that becomes a true income producing asset? Then I welcome you to the Fitness Business Freedom Show, brought to you by Fitness Revolution. I am your host, Justin Hanover, and we have over 15 years of experience building thriving fitness businesses, and we are committed to sharing our knowledge and expertise with you. You can expect to hear proven business foundations and frameworks, success stories from our coaching partners, and guest experts to give you straight answers for your biggest questions. It doesn't matter if you have an online business, fitness facility, or operate as an independent trainer, you are in the right place to grow your business and create the personal freedom you desire. Welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Justin Hanover, success coach with Fitness Revolution. Now, before we dive in, I just want to share a little bit about who I have joining me and what you can expect to hear. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Javy Caraballo. Javy was originally born in Puerto Rico and was a driven person from the start. Since he was 16, owning a gym has always been on his mind, and he got that opportunity in September of 2012. At that time, he had a partner, and they opened CrossFit on the Hill in Roxbury, Massachusetts. About a year later, through their success, they opened a second location, which is CrossFit Jeffries Point, or EastieFit. After navigating a couple years with both locations as a partnership, it was decided to separate the business, and in May of 2016, he became the sole owner of CrossFit Jeffries Point, EastieFit. Javy is driven to lead and to raise those up around him. And within our conversation, Javy shared his journey and really opened up about the difficulties he was experiencing when it came to marketing. Until he had an idea that clicked with him. After looking at his data, he decided to focus his efforts towards the Spanish-speaking demographic, and he experienced a huge positive shift. And this was really a great story to open up your mind to thinking differently with how you market. How are you breaking through the noise? Well, let's welcome Javy on, and he can share with you how he is doing just that. Today's episode is brought to you by Fitness Revolution. So you started your fitness business and you've been in the game now a few years. You might have even seen some good growth over those years, but now you feel stuck. You feel like the momentum you once had just isn't there and you don't know how to get it back. Should you be focusing on your marketing, your sales, or your team? What is the next bottleneck to focus on that will allow you to break the chains holding you back? That is a great question. And one of the biggest skills as an owner is to be able to understand and identify the next biggest issue to keep your business moving forward. And this is exactly why Fitness Revolution has created our proprietary needs assessment to allow you to quickly see where your business stacks up and receive immediate feedback on what to focus on next. It's a quick 10-question assessment that will be able to provide valuable feedback to get past sticking points and hit your next goal. Whether you are stuck, feeling frustrated with your current progress, or just want to dial in what's currently working, this assessment is the first step to making that happen. I invite you to head over to the show notes where a direct link to the needs assessment will be, so you can easily access it there. Now let's jump into today's show. Javy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to spend it with us, sharing your journey and insights to help other gym owners.
Oh, this is great, Justin. I appreciate this invitation. I'm really excited to spend the next minutes with you.
Absolutely. The pleasure's mine. And you have a great story that I think is going to help other people out there. So let's start with giving some perspective to our listeners as to like that 1,000-foot overview of how you started EastieFit and got to where you are now.
Oh, wow. So that was a journey, I think, that started trickling in my mind when I was 16, right? So many years ago. Just the camaraderie that I felt going into gyms with my dad. My dad is a very social person. So going in and having conversations with people around the gym and filtering workouts, right, in between those conversations, I think like it was a really cool feeling, right? Because like, you're getting so much out of that. You're getting the physical improvements, right, benefits of fitness, but also you're getting that social and mental release, right, of having good conversation with people. So that's kind of like how it started.
Nice. Excellent. So, I mean, So this is something that kind of you feel like it's always been in you, and now you're like kind of like obviously living what you've always had in your head.
Yeah, I think it's a passion that started then, and then it was realized as a career in my college career, right? I did my bachelor's, and during my bachelor's, I was like, I would kind of like fell in love with research and like understanding and like being the first people to know about like how research were going and like how to change the body and like exercise physiology and all that stuff. But then quickly during my master's, I realized that I really needed that interaction with people that first got me in love with the industry. And since then, I was like, you know what? I want to have my own gym. I think I want to learn as much as possible from other people because I didn't feel that I was ready at that time. And that was my path. Like every job that I had, anywhere from the YMCA to like internships at the college level, and commercial gyms, like everywhere I went, I'll finish up my task and then I'll be that person knocking on the manager's door and be like, hey, is there anything else that I can do for you? Like, I just want to learn. And that's primarily what prepared me to, at least, for you to feel, or for me to feel that I could open a gym.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. To have that perspective and always have like that student mindset. So like, what is the current landscape of the business? Like, give us like an overview of like where you are currently at now.
Yeah. So right now, it's my business owner or entrepreneurship career started in 2012. After like about a year after my firstborn was born, right? My first son was born. And it's like, you know what? I think like this is the time. I think that change in my life gave me the last push that I needed to be like, you know what? Like, let's do this. Let's open this business. And that was in 2012. I opened a CrossFit gym with a partner in Roxbury, Massachusetts, which is like a town in Boston, or a neighborhood in Boston, right? Quickly after that, we decided that we're going to branch out and open multiple facilities. So we opened a second CrossFit gym in East Boston, completely opposite of Roxbury. And if you ever flown into Boston, you've been to East Boston, because like East Boston is where the airport is. So we're right there, a very unique, loving, amazing neighborhood. And now 2016, we split up the gyms and I decided to be sole owner of EastieFit in East Boston. And my partner kept the other gym. So right now we are a 175 gym member, and we have about 3,000 square feet, about 2,000 square feet of workout facility. And we do group classes, mainly like our capacity is 15 athletes per class. And we supplement that with some personal training, some nutrition coaching, and then your retail, your supplements, your apparel. That's pretty much where the landscape of EastieFit is right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that breakdown. Because I think it's always helpful for people to understand the type of business you have and like services you offer and everything, because it makes it obviously relatable for them if they're in a similar situation as you. So that definitely is helpful to understand that. So now let's kind of like dive into your business journey a little bit more, and maybe you can uncover or share with us maybe a particular challenge that you went through, whether it be an older one or a newer one, doesn't really matter, that was kind of unique to your business that you didn't necessarily expect, and like kind of share like how you went through it, how you overcame it, and did it kind of like push you in a better direction?
Yeah, I think that I'm glad that you're telling me to pick one challenge, right? Because
yeah, right.
I don't think we have time to go through all of the challenges.
Yeah.
But I think the one that marked me the most, Justin, was at the beginning. I felt like I was a pretty good operator of the business. I understood fitness, I understood the coaching and the class and the interaction with the clients. but I didn't know like my finances were a wreck, right? I didn't know how to like budget. I didn't know how much I could pay my coaches, and I guess I was narrow-minded in terms of like, if I can continue to sell and get more members, everything will line up. Yeah. Right. And it was not it was not that way. Like if you're on that approach, stop, right, and ask for help, because it doesn't lead to a profitable business, right? No. So I think it was like finances, not understanding how much to pay the coaches, how much to pay myself. Like honestly, full disclosure, like there was 2 years that I didn't pay myself,
Man, that's not uncommon.
It's not, and
unfortunately,
not only that, but also it created a little bit of PTSD, because then you're like hindered, and you have these limiting beliefs that hold you back to the potential of growth, right? And that's where like FR Fitness Revolution had helped me a ton, like uncovering those limiting beliefs, allowing me and positioning me in a way where I can grow, right? And providing me with resources to educate, to uncover my blind spot, to learn from partners and resources, and overcome those weaknesses.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that too, because like definitely the finance side of things is something that's not often talked about enough, and it's an area that a lot of people struggle in. And a lot of people, I remember even early on in my career too, I had the same mentality as you, where I was just like, okay, I'll just sell. Like you just sell more, and it will work out. The numbers will align, and it doesn't pan out that way, because that's just one piece of the business. And having a control over your finances is crucial to being able to guide your business effectively and make better decisions, and ultimately, obviously, make sure it's a profitable business. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. Like you are doing this for impact, and you are doing this for lifestyle and helping people, but you can't do that if you're not running a successful business and it being profitable. So in order to do that, you obviously have to have a good grasp on your finances and know how to make decisions based on the numbers and what's happening. So that's a super important thing. And I think there should be more conversations, or more open conversations around the finances, because it can really strangle you if you don't get a grasp on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was there anything in particular that like opened you up to wanting to start addressing that?
Failure.
Okay, yeah, that would
do it. Yeah, like not, I guess insanity, right? Like doing the same thing over and over again, like expecting a different result. I think it was like at that point where I realized, right? You just said like, it is a business. It is like, yeah, it fulfills a passion, right, that I have to help people and to transform the community and the people that I serve through fitness, through eat, train, and sleep, right? But at the end of the day, it's a business. I have to pay bills. I have to support my family. At that point, I mentioned that, I had my firstborn was here, so like, I think it got to a point where like, okay, enough is enough. I have to figure this out in a better way. And then also like talking to people and being like Javy, you have a good business, because at some point you have failed so much, or you're not getting paid. You're like, well, like this business is not going anywhere. Like, but like people telling you like, Javy, you have a good business. We just have to tweak these things and like look at it from this perspective and get in a plan, or get on a track, right? That you can start tracking like KPIs or key performance indicators, right? So it's like, okay, like once we get to 20,000 in auto pay or X amount of GR, then you can take money out of it, and then you can start paying yourself. The other thing that really helped me a ton was reading Profit First.
Yeah, it's a powerful book.
That was, if I had read that book day one of my entrepreneurship career in 2012, it would have been a different story,
Mm.
which I don't regret, right? Because like we learn from everything. But that's one thing that I tell, my coaches and my peers, said like you need to read Profit First.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I said the same exact thing as soon as I completed reading. I think that was one of the most impactful books I ever read, because like truly, like getting a grasp on your finances literally changes your life, and understanding how to really use your money. It is so important, and that book really lays out in a way that really makes it so simple. It kind of demystifies the whole thing of understanding like how to use your money in an effective way that's obviously going to serve the business and serve you. And that book, that book is vital. And like I said, it's not even just if you have business. I think it's just anyone. I mean, anyone can benefit from getting a better grasp on their finances, whether you have a business or not, because we all have to deal with money. And it's a part of life. So I think that's a really powerful thing to focus on. And it could be a tough thing too, because ego comes into it. And that's where I think a lot of people tend to shy away from wanting to be open or talk about it, because it's looked down on as like, oh, you're less than, because you don't know how to manage your money type of thing. So was that ever a concern for you? Or were you very open to like addressing this?
Absolutely. I think like the arrogance was a part of my character that I had to overcome or change or transform early in my career. I went to like very competitive, like I was a very competitive athlete. I went to very competitive, like academic institutions. So when I got out of it, I think I had a little like a chip on my shoulder that I had to show people, right? Mm-hmm. But in any of those, in athletics nor college, no one showed me how to manage money, So even though I was arrogant in those areas because I was prepared, like I was not prepared to manage money, right? But I still had that chip on my shoulder, that like a little bit of ego that, like, no, I can figure out this on myself, or everything is going to work out, until I felt enough times to where like, like this is not working. I need to ask for help.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's easy to get caught in that cycle, because I would say our society as a whole, like basically does a really good job of positioning the fact that like you should be able to do this by yourself type of thing. And if you can't, then there's something wrong with you. And that's not true at all. I mean, there is not anybody that has achieved a certain level of success that doesn't have a team of people behind them, helping them, because you can't be masters at everything. And you have to be able to circle and surround yourself with the people that make up the weaknesses that you have, to strengthen the process. Like there's that quote that it's like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So it's same thing like this. So if you're in this to build a legacy business, a business that can last your lifetime and even beyond it, then you have to have that mentality of looking at your weaknesses and surrounding yourself or with resources that can address those weaknesses.
Yeah, and I think part of it is also the mentality of like, well, if I'm starting, I don't have like enough money to invest, I don't have enough money to do this. But truly, like if you look at like where you're investing the money and understand that there's a position where you can get that return of investment, right? And that's going to have a multiplier effect based on the effectiveness of the help, or the effectiveness of you doing the action plans, right? That's another thing, like that I would have done better if I had thought about that way, right? In terms of like, okay, like I can invest some money here in some help or resources or mentorship, and maybe it'll be a little bit tight now, but 6 months from now, or a year from now, I'll be getting that return on investment, 20%, 60%, 100% or more.
Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's about, is playing the long game, and not just going after the quick fixes, because that ultimately doesn't fix the issue. It just kind of gives you more time, if you will. But like if you really look at it and address things from a long term and a long game perspective, then that's when you're really addressing the root issue, and then making sure that you're moving forward in a positive way. So now, when kind of looking more at the tactics of what you're doing within your business, let's talk about like your marketing efforts. What exactly do you have going on, and what are you finding that you're getting traction with?
So when we opened EastieFit, I was managing both gyms, right? So I knew the East Boston neighborhood because I live in East Boston, been living here for 12 years. But I really didn't understand the market of East Boston, right? And when we split up the gyms and I'm 100% working at EastieFit, I really started paying attention to who was coming through our doors. Like, who are the people that I see at the supermarket, at the coffee shops that I used to go, like, so then I started really paying attention to what the market, in East Boston is. And then a couple of things that we have done is that we use Facebook ads, right? And then we're starting to look at first of all, it comes the ideal client, et cetera, right? Like understanding who the ideal client is. But then when we started doing Facebook ads towards that ideal client, we realized and we understood that we have a bilingual market, right? In East Boston, there's a high percentage population that is Latinx, right? And from my mentality, from my training, I'm always worked on mainly like English speaking neighborhoods and communities. So it took me a little bit to understand that I needed to have a bilingual marketing message, right? The other thing that we noticed was that of our leads coming from Facebook were Latinx versus the leads that were coming from Google, right, or walk-ins were English speakers, right? So we tweaked our Facebook ads and we only did Facebook ads in Spanish, right, or mostly in Spanish. The majority were in Spanish, and that increased the leads that we're getting, and also it gave us a higher rate of investment, right? Because we were able to target the actual people that were looking for us, or were looking for fitness solutions in Facebook. So that's one of the key things. I think I credit my marketing team to also kind of like help me out figuring that out.
No, that's fantastic. And like you said at the beginning of this, it goes back to understanding who the person is that you're going after. That's crucial, because I mean, obviously, if you don't know that, then how do you know what to do at all? And you really don't. You're just kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Then, so I mean, to be able to have that level of awareness is fantastic. To be able to make that pivot and see a higher rate of return, which is obviously the goal. That's what we want to see, especially when you're putting money into the game. You want to see something coming back.
Absolutely.
Now, with changing that direction, did that change how you I guess facilitate the rest of your service and everything? Like, did you have to like provide English and Spanish speaking like curriculum to did that like affect anything else in your business, basically?
Yeah, it's interesting. So like, I'm originally from Puerto Rico, so Spanish is my first language, right? And right now we have about 10 coaches, and they're all bilingual. So really, awesome. We have there was nothing really that we had to do other than making sure that our Instagram post or our blog posts are messaging through newsletters or direct mail to our athletes, that it was in English and Spanish. But yeah, we're in such a unique position that we didn't have to pivot at all with the way that we taught classes or anything, because all of our coaches are bilingual.
Wow. I mean, was that by design? Did you go seek bilingual coaches, or just how it happened?
That just happened, really. I think part of it was once I became the sole owner of EastieFit in 2016, people started to realize, and they go to the website and they see my bio and they feel a little bit more comfortable, right? To be like, okay, like I can go to this gym, because like usually like CrossFit, fitness, like a small group training or boutique fitness usually doesn't line up with the Latinx population, right? That's really like a niche that grew mostly in United States, right? So like having someone that they feel that they can understand and they can relate to, like really open up our market to the Hispanic residents in East Boston. And then most of our coaches live in East Boston, right? So that itself, they might be already bilingual, or they might be first or second generation Hispanic, or they're so embedded into the community and the roots of it that they have taken to themselves to like learn English or Spanish, so it really just like, I didn't seek anyone to be bilingual. It just really just happened. And I think like it talks about the effort that we put into our culture to be inclusive and equitable to all.
So, but is that a requirement now with any new coaches coming on to be bilingual? Last time I did a hiring. I was trying to get a manager, right? And for that manager, I needed that person to be able to speak both languages, because he or she was gonna be managing English, like first English speakers or first Spanish speakers, right? So they needed to be able to understand both languages. Yeah, no, definitely. And then you mentioned that you were seeing majority of English speakers coming from Google. Is that something that, do you still keep that English focused, or are you also doing Spanish focused on Google too?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a CrossFit affiliate, right? And this was a conversation that I had a couple of years ago with my mastermind group through Fitness Revolution. I got to a point where I'm like, should I pay the affiliation fee or not? Mm-hmm. Right? And we started getting to the nitty gritty of marketing and et cetera. And they're like, Javi, it looks like a lot of the leads that come from Google, right? They're searching CrossFit near me, or CrossFit in East Boston, or CrossFit in Boston. So technically, the affiliation fee that you're paying, technically that's part of your marketing budget, right? Because it's allowing you to attract those leads through Google that are moved recently to the neighborhood, or had a dinner conversation with another CrossFitter and told them, hey, you need to find the local CrossFit, the closest CrossFit to you. And that's how they find me, through Google. We did an upgrade on our website a couple of years ago, and that has really benefited in terms of the SEO and the keywords and Google reviews. But I can attribute that to the work that the website have done to have high SEO keywords, right? And also using CrossFit in our website.
No, I think that's awesome, and I think there's now even more of an importance on having a site that is searchable and something that's able to be found, especially with all the different changes we've experienced with social media. I think it's brought even more of an importance too of also having a solid site that is searchable, shows up well in search engines, because that's something that obviously you control, and it never goes away. Like in that sense, I mean, like people are always using search engines, and the type of people that are using search engines obviously are looking for solutions, and like they're not necessarily just browsing, like they're typing things in to find a solution. So it makes sense for you to invest in redoing, like kind of like bolstering up your site to make sure that you're showing up for the proper search terms and keywords. Is there anything else that you intertwine with your marketing? Like, do you have like a place where you nurture people? Like, I don't know if you do a newsletter or something along that line of, like, say if someone's not quite ready to take that next step of coming in, is there something else that happens there?
Yeah. So about anywhere between 100 and 150 leads a month. We manage that through a software called UpLaunch that allows us to nurture them for up to 300 days, right? And on automated email, text, and task. So that's a pretty good, like a strong follow-up funnel, right? But recently, with in a conversation with my mentor, we're talking about how to be more specific, or how to target those subscriber lists. Those leads that were interested at one moment or kind of like fell off the track, and now they're not interested anymore, and we still have them on the subscriber list, or people who purchased the trial and didn't convert, right? So we're looking at ways how to have a different newsletter, right? And this is kind of like a pilot project that we're doing, sending them some like flash sales or some offers to see. And when we're thinking about, we're talking about the rate of investment or the return on investment earlier. This is something that the subscriber list is already there. The email list is already there. Having a coach or one of the marketers like build up a content for the email and sending it out, that's probably can be all done in 30 minutes, and if you can get back 2 to 3 new leads that come into the gym every month from that subscriber list, like right now our subscriber list is like 1,200, right? I think it's a really good way to track new leads and or track new conversions from all leads.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you already paid for that lead once. It doesn't make sense to keep paying for it. And so, I mean, make that lead work, like in that sense, like don't let it just drop. Because a lot of people do that. A lot of people have this mindset of like, okay, if they don't convert right away, then it doesn't make sense to keep following up with them, which isn't true at all. I think that's one of the things we have to remember is we never know when the exact moment when someone's ready to do something. But one thing we do know for sure is if you're not top of mind and the awareness isn't there for that prospect, then you won't be picked. So the worst thing you can do is not to keep showing up and being top of mind for them, because there will come a time when they are ready and they're going to choose who is obviously most relevant to them. And if you're the one that's showing up consistently, then the chances of you being that person are a lot higher.
Yeah, absolutely. And a note on that is like, also like, like we're talking about like my trajectory and the gym and stuff like that. So like flashbacks come back of like me trying to do everything, right? And when an owner, entrepreneur is trying to do everything, like things are gonna fall through the cracks, but you're not gonna do everything at your highest potential. So the other situation in the fitness industry is like coaches, they want to eventually make a living out of coaching. A lot of them start as part-time, and then so like, okay, well, I cannot give you more coaching hours, but could you create a standard of operation, an SOP for that coach to manage that subscriber list that's technically is dead, that leads there if you don't do anything with them, right? So now you're helping this coach work towards like a full-time position, and at the same time, this person is helping you get more leads. So it's a little bit of a mindset to shift, where it's like, I don't have to do everything, right? And I could get same results even though I'm not doing everything in the business.
And that should be the goal. I mean, like you want to be able to make sure you're also implementing things, like you said, to leverage your time better, being the business owner. I mean, the goal is to get to that place where, yeah, you're able to make sure overseeing things rather than, like you said, being the person that literally has to do everything in the business. And that frees up opportunity for you and gives you options to choose what you get to do, not have to do. So that's definitely a great perspective to focus on. And for you that are listening right now that are in that place where you feel like you have to do everything, or you are doing everything, open your mind up to that. And like, what do you have to do? I'm sure there's something that you're doing right now that you could be offloading to someone else. and start freeing up your bandwidth even more to make sure that you're moving the business forward in a positive way and not just kind of in that hamster wheel. And so
and sometimes that comes from outside perspective, Justin. You need to have someone else come in, someone who understands the business or someone who knows you, right? To give you that perspective and be like, to give you that 30,000 view, right? 30,000 feet view.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can, when we're too close to things, it's hard to see what's really going on. And that's with anything in life. Whether it be business, relationships, stuff. When you're so close to something, you can be kind of blinded by it, and not really have a good grasp on what the reality of the situation is. So that's a really important aspect to bring up. So now on the flip side of this thing is you have these people coming into your facility. What are you doing to keep them there? Like how are you prolonging the longevity of your clients and getting them to stick around so that you can get them better results? And then also obviously that builds a more sustainable business.
Yeah. So recently we learned that a holistic approach, it's stronger than just a strong fitness approach. Mm-hmm. So we added core habits to our offering, right? So in the past, we were just a all training facility. We're not doing anything else. Yeah, we'll talk about nutrition here and there, but there was not it was not big, right? It was not a priority. That's the word that I was looking at, priority, right? So now we talk about our core habits, which are eat, train, and sleep, right? Mm-hmm. So that's embedded into our coaching staff, into our class announcements, into our Instagram, into our marketing, everything. Our message is eat, train, and sleep. So now when we talk to the athletes and they have vacation or they get sick or something like that, and suddenly they cannot train, we can still offer them something. We can still give them advice on nutrition and understanding that sleep is really, really important. Having conversations in the gym about that has also created another level of common ground, because like I could be an amazing sleeper, right? And I could be in class with an amazing athlete, right? Who's like talented physically, right? And we can have a conversation and we can help each other, right? Because like I understand, I have been practicing how to sleep, so I can share my practices and my anecdotes to help him because he's been struggling with sleeping, and vice versa. Where like in the past, what we have observed in the gym is like there's like less conversations between athletes because they don't feel like they could help this amazing athlete. But now we have created this common ground where like it's not just about your athletic capacity, right? So much is about your wellness, like how you sleep, how you're training, how you eat. So that's one of the things that we do like every day, right? We just like in terms of like special events, we had a amazing Christmas party a couple of weeks ago, right? And what we do is like this is like one big event that we do once a year. We bring like a DJ, we bring music, we bring food, and then we ask the athletes to pay an entry fee, which is a donation, right? It's a suggested donation. We find a local charity or nonprofit or people in need. In this case, it was families from a local school that were in need of coats and toys for their kids for Christmas, So we did that as a, like we do care about this community and we want you to care too. And the feedback was great. Like, I think like people were so grateful that they could feel connected with East Boston. And as a surprise, we gave them gifts. We which is tying with marketing. We got tote bags, and we like labeled them with our logo, and we gave one to each of our athletes. So and that was a surprise element, and I think that not necessarily we didn't plan that way. We did wanted to make them a gift. But I think the surprise element really blew it out of the water to where like, wow, like these people really care. Like I belong here and they know me by name and they care about my eating, my training, my sleeping, so like, that was like kind of like some of the unique things that we have done to engage culture and to increase retention with our athletes.
No, I love that. So, I mean, yeah, so you sounds like you obviously really instilled this into, like you said, like the culture and the feeling of your facility. Like that's, I guess that's the goal for a lot of people, but it's a tough thing to do, to instill a certain type of culture, because that's not necessarily something you can just do overnight and be like, hey, like, okay, just do this and everyone will think this way or feel this way. So like, is there things that you do like on a small scale daily to like help nurture that thinking and that process within the facility?
Yeah. Simple things like we have the house rules like in our lobby. So when athletes come in and out of the facility, they see the house rules. The coaches do a really good job role modeling, and that's instilled from the leadership from the beginning. And like whatever you do, they will copy, right? And then they will say, well, he's doing it or she's doing it, so I'm doing it too. So it's fine, right? Yeah. So we hold our athletes to a high level of like core values for the gym, right? And we hold them accountable to that. And I think also like and identifying the athletes or the members that are in line with that culture and praising them and letting them know, like, it doesn't have to be public. It could be also private, but as I said, like, hey, Justin, you're doing a really good job in this core value. I really appreciate it, and then they feel empowered to continue to demonstrate that and to tell others about that. The other things, we have monthly meetings and we take time to share. So we have 3 core habits, which is eat, train, and sleep. And we have 4 core values: humble, resilient, connected, and consistent. Right. And we go around on the meetings, on the team meetings, and each of us share which core value or core habit we've been practicing lately. Right. So it comes from the top down, being consistent and with the core values, that being able to gel down to the athletes and the culture of our athletes. Yeah.
I think that's so important. I mean, that's a huge thing. So, I mean, like if you're listening right now and you have a team and this is an area that you're struggling with, this is what you want to pay attention to, what like Javy just shared, and like re-listen to this and take notes on it, because I think what you just shared is the piece that a lot of people miss. Is like they'll come up with their core values, things like that, but then it never goes any further than that. It's just words. Like they're not actually living it, and they're not actually instilling it consistently into themselves and into their team. So like what you're doing is like fantastic, obviously, and you keep reinforcing the importance of this. So it becomes important for your team then, rather than just being like when they come on board or something like, oh yeah, this is our core values, learn it, and that's about it. And then they never see it again. Well, guess what? They're not going to take it seriously. They're not going to think it's important because you don't. And it's not going to affect the culture. So that is definitely a huge piece to this puzzle of building a solid team culture, and then also ultimately that fans out into the facility culture, because if the team culture is bad, then that's obviously not going to be good for the rest of the facility. So if this is something that you're struggling with, I would definitely, again, like pay attention to what Javy just shared, and the fact that how he's implementing this on a consistent basis, and really look at what you're doing. Are you doing this consistently? Are you implementing it on a regular basis and reinforcing why these are even there? Like why are you choosing the words that you're choosing? Like why is it important? Because that's what helps bring the team into it, and they see it in action. Basically, it's not just words. So thank you, Javy, for sharing that and breaking that down for us, because I think that's a huge piece to building a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like if we could be like a little bit more practical, right? So I send a note to the team every Sunday night to get them ready for the week, right? And I remind them, like we choose a value of the month, right? So I remind them what the value is. I give them actionable things that they can do to praise the members and the athletes if they show or when they show that value. And then one thing that we've done from day one is like we finish every class with a cheer, right? So we cheer the value of the month, right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
So like even like kind of like things that you can think that are like cheesy or corny, but like they make that's what you need. You need buy-in from your coaches, from your team. You need buy-in from the athletes, and consistency is what's going to give you that overall.
Definitely. Because like you said, like now you're not only, because basically I think like the way you have to look at it from the owner's perspective is like your coaches are obviously servicing and coaching your clients on their journey and helping them through their transformation. And then you as the owner, your role is to do that for your coaches, is to coach them and help them through their transformation on their journey. So if you're doing that from the top down, then that's when you get a culture like yours where it is ingrained into it. And it's not something you don't have to tell people how to act. They know how to act. And that's powerful. I mean, that's something that that can withstand a pandemic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it did.
So that's awesome. And I really appreciate you sharing that. And another thing I wanted to hit on, because I think a lot of people tend to shy away from this type of stuff, is because it's not the sexy thing to focus on. Like constantly being that coach for your team, reminding them of things and bringing them into it, asking them how they're living out these different things. I mean, it's not seen as like the flashy fun thing to do, but ultimately as the role as a business owner, like that's what you need to be doing to instill a consistent product and have a quality service, which creates a quality environment. So like that's the thing is like if you're shying away from those things, then like you need to start looking in those a little bit more and taking that area a little bit more seriously, because that's ultimately what's going to grow your business, not as we discussed already, just selling more.
Yeah, no, and to add to that point, Justin, because you just open up a specific area of growth for entrepreneurs, is like you have to build your team, right? Because you're not going to be able to coach 30, 40, 50 hours a week, right? And if you have a good product and you're doing all these things, you're doing the marketing, you identify your ideal market client, you're spending money on ads, and you're going to eventually have to add classes. Maybe you started with 20 classes, but now you're like suddenly like you're doing everything well, and then you have 30 classes, right? But now, because you've been doing it by yourself, now your service starts to get watered down, right? So really like having expectations of your coaches to be the role models and the face of the athletes, and also like for the athletes and the members to understand that these are also people, right? They might have like big biceps and like they can do burpees at the speed of light, but we all struggle with sleep. We all struggle with eating. We all struggle with training sometimes. We all struggle with mental health, right? So understanding that these are things that we can talk about, right, openly, because that's a huge retention power, right? Because if I can identify with this coach that I probably see more than, like, especially like in Boston, there's a lot of people that are not from Boston, or they're immigrants, right? Like if you're showing up to the gym 3, 4, 5 times, I mean, you might see your coach more than you see your mom, your brother, your sister, your best friend, So it is really important for us as leaders to instill a strong culture of our coaches, because that's really how we're going to make an impact in our gym.
Absolutely. I'm totally on board with that. And I agree. I mean, I think it's definitely should be more of a focus Because like, that's what builds a rock solid business, is having, especially in this industry, is having a solid culture to stand on, because that's going to always give you a base to work from, and you're not gonna, that's not something you're necessarily going to have to stress about. So I think that's a fantastic approach, and I think it's a great message to share, and something that more people need to be aware of, and not always jump to the sales and marketing aspects of the business. Growing in that leadership role is vital. Um, so as we work towards wrapping up the conversation, I mean, this has been really great, Javi, to be able to hear your story and what's working for you, and some different challenges that you've gone through over your time of being in business so far. As I mentioned to you before, I kind of like to wrap up the conversation with getting your perspective. It would be some words of wisdom or advice, for, like, say, like a gym owner came to you and was looking for support based on your experience and your journey so far. What do you feel is the most important thing for that gym owner to hear?
Wow. The most important thing, Justin, that was a very hard question. So I'm gonna answer the question this way. I think that the owner or the entrepreneur needs to know what their strengths and their weaknesses are. They need to know themselves first, right? You need to have an honest conversation with yourself, or go with your best friend or mentor, pastor, someone that you can trust, that will be straightforward with you. And it's not going to be like, yeah, it's fine, Justin. Yeah, you're doing this well. But they can be straightforward with you. So I think that then you can start looking for what are your blind spots? What is it that you need to do to manage this business, right? So that's probably a mentor, and if you don't have someone that can help you, I think you need to find one. You need to find a mentor that is ahead of you in terms of business maturity, experience, right? Mm-hmm. Someone that can give you speed in terms of sharing best practice and things that work, things that don't work. So that way, this time that you're spending with this mentor allows you to give you that return of investment, because you have to even look at your time as money, Yes. So if I'm spending an hour, 2-3 hours with a mentor a month, I need to be able to gain that back in speed, in encouragement, empowerment. So I would say that first, have an honest conversation with yourself, right? Then have an honest conversation with someone who you trust, that will be straightforward with you, and then find a mentor, right? Because like I mentioned to you, if I had read Profit First years ago, or understood how Facebook marketing, Facebook ads work, or SEO works, and I could have leveraged that when I was brand new in the business. That was the speed that I needed. That it took probably 6 years, right? Because my business was not profitable until 2018, right? So if I could have gotten that speed, those 6 years shortened into even 2 years, I would be in a completely different spot now, So yeah, I think that's the most important thing that I can tell an entrepreneur, a new one, an old one, an experienced one, whoever's out there that is still struggling with their business and haven't been able to get it to a profitable place, to a place where they can control and manage the time that they're working in their business. That's the best advice I can give them.
And I think that's a solid advice to give, and I think it's very true advice. And I think that's something. If you're listening to this and you're in this place of like kind of like not knowing what to do, like everything that Javy just laid out of getting outside perspective, seeking mentorship is going to start opening that door and paving that path for you, because it's about that self-awareness and becoming aware of what you don't know, because you don't know everything, you're not a master of all, and the quicker you can become to realize that, and like Javy shared, like shoring up those weak areas, or finding the right people to do those areas, the faster you're going to grow and the faster you're going to see a return, rather than just struggling through it and trying to force things when it could be a lot easier of a process. But sometimes we need to go through those difficult times to learn that. And that's all part of the growth process.
Yeah, and I think so kind of like I mentioned at the beginning that I came out of college a little bit arrogant, right? And with high ego. Having that conversation with a mentor, with yourself, right, with someone who you trust is going to call you out and put you in your place, haven't gotten me out of my own way, so I can grow a business, rather than me trying to like grow my ego or trying to do it for my own good, right? So that's why, like I mentioned, right, it's like I think like finding a way to get out of your way, your own way, to grow the business.
Definitely. Well, thank you for that, Javy, and thank you for this conversation, and thank you for your time. We really appreciate you getting on here, sharing your story, because that's what it's about. It's about helping others along the way as we move forward in our journey. So I thank you for that. Thank you for what you're doing with your clients, and also what you're doing within the industry, because everyone has a piece in that, and you're helping shape someone else's journey. So we appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciated the invitation, Justin. I think that it was a good trip down memory lane and coming out and, having that reminder that I have gone a long way. And I hope that this story, this podcast can help others that, have a similar or even better story.
Absolutely. And I have no doubt that it will. And for those that want to continue this conversation with you, or have maybe some questions on some of the things that you went through, and maybe they're going through similar stuff, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so there's two best places. You can, our Instagram page, which is at Get EastieFit, and my website, my email is Javy, JAV as in Victor, Y at GetEastieFit.com. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of those two channels.
Excellent. Thank you for that. We'll be sure to connect those into the show notes as well, if you're in a place where you can't remember that offhand. So don't worry, you won't miss out on that opportunity to connect with Javy. And I do encourage you to do that, because that's how opportunities happen and doors open up when you take that extra step and reach out and put yourself out there. Last thing, I just want to thank you, the listener, obviously, because we wouldn't have a show if you weren't listening. So we appreciate that. And I'm happy that you're looking for ways and resources to grow your business. That's vital as we move forward on this journey to never stop that student mindset and perspective. And with that being said, I look forward to having you join us on the next episode of the Fitness Business Freedom Show. Thank you so much, and take care. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode on the Fitness Business Freedom Show. On behalf of Fitness Revolution and myself, we are thrilled you are looking for ways and resources to move your business forward, and we are honored to be that source for you. If you would like to receive more business building support from us, be sure to head over to the show notes and join our subscriber list and stay on top of all the industry insights that matter most to you. Now, before I close out today's show, if you found this episode beneficial in any way, I just ask you to leave us a simple review to help other gym owners find us and discover this show. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of the Fitness Business Freedom Show.